This is the 21st show. I'm Brian Mackey. Late last night, or I guess I should say early this morning, the Illinois General Assembly finished the work of passing a state budget. The Senate passed this year's spending plan around 3. The House followed at 4 a.m. Springfield time. Once again, there are also issues that did not get resolved, including incentives aimed at keeping the Chicago Bears in Illinois. Tomorrow on the program, we're planning to talk with all 4 of the top legislative leaders, Democratic and Republican. But we wanted to spend at least a few minutes today catching up on what did and did not happen with the General Assembly. So we are joined now by Isabella Nieto, statehouse reporter for public radio stations across Illinois. Isabella, I know you were up late, or early, I guess I should say, so thanks for making time to be with us today.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
So there are some new taxes in this year's budget. What do those cover?
Yeah, so there's quite a few of them. The nearly $56 billion budget, which is slightly up from last year's, creates new taxes on digital advertising, social media, prediction markets, cryptocurrency, and fantasy sports. And it also reallocated the sales revenue from a tax on sugary drinks to the general revenue fund instead of sending it for capital projects.
So I understand there was also a postponement in the gas tax increase. What's that about?
Yeah, so they decided to freeze the 1.3 cent gas tax increase that was scheduled for July 1st. It's been pushed to January, and there's also they've also pushed or at least suspended the sales tax on school supplies for a brief time in August.
Yeah, 1.3, I just want to emphasize, you said cents, not percent. So if you have, like I do, like a 17-gallon fill-up, that's a whopping 22 cents that's going to save. I guess every little bit counts.
Yeah.
We'll also talk, so I mentioned the Bears. This is getting a lot of attention today. The Senate did pass legislation intended to entice the Bears to build a new stadium in Arlington Heights. The House adjourned without taking action on that. What happened?
Yeah, so we were following it, obviously, throughout session. My colleague Mala Iqbal really did the boots on the ground with that. And I have to give her props for all the work that she did. But she was following it. We were watching it pass in the Senate at around 3:30 this morning. They ended up overhauling the original bill, which would have created the payment in lieu of taxes plan. Senate Democrats said they weren't a fan, as we were hearing some kind of chatter. They changed the bill to authorize Cook County municipalities with populations of at least 70,000 to create their own financing authorities for publicly owned stadiums, which would essentially eliminate the Bears' property taxes if the bill had passed. It passed out of the Senate, and the House decided not to call it up for a vote, and Speaker Welch kind of ruled out calling a special session to get it passed in the summer.
So I guess we will see if the Bears were bluffing about becoming the Hammond Bears in the near future, because they say they're going to stick with their same timeline for early summer of making an announcement about their building location. Interesting. Well, let's see if we can breeze through a couple of other pieces of legislation that made it through the legislative process in the past week. There's one that would let the state Department of Insurance regulate the cost of auto and homeowners insurance. Governor Pritzker was pushing on this over the past year. There was a lot of opposition to that. Can you just briefly tell us what happened there?
Sure. So basically, they passed 2 bills, one on home insurance, one on auto insurance. They're both waiting for approval from Governor J.B. Pritzker. The bills would require insurance companies to notify their policyholders long before any rate increases of 10% or more, and to give the state's Department of Insurance authority to review and block unfair tax hikes.
And the idea here, I guess, was that a lot of people got some pretty stark increases, especially in homeowners insurance in the past few years. And there's some dispute. The insurance companies say the cost has gone up here, but some people are suggesting that maybe Illinoisans are paying for costs in, hurricane states, for example. Another thing that passed quickly is Governor Pritzker, who's wanted to ban students from using cell phones during classes. What is the story with that?
Yeah, so the legislation requires school districts to basically set policies to ensure students don't use their cell phones during class time. Now, there are some exceptions for people that use a cell phone as a communication device or for medical reasons. The bill kind of gets into that, but they did pass that last night as well. And that's one of Pritzker's efforts as well. It was proposed, early 2025, and now it's waiting for his signature.
All right, and then other things that happen that we're not going to have time to talk about today are artificial intelligence regulation and a lot more. Isabella Nieto covers the statehouse for public radio stations around Illinois. She's based at WBEZ. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today here on the 21st Show.
Thank you for having me.
And again, listeners, we are going to have a full program, or at least we're planning to bring you a full program on state legislative topics and what happened and what didn't happen. We're planning to talk with the Speaker of the Illinois House, President of the Illinois Senate, as well as the minority leaders, both Republicans, tomorrow here on the 21st Show. If you have questions, let us know. Talk at 21stshow.org. Coming up after the break, a visit to the new Obama Presidential Center in Chicago. This is the 21st Show. Stay with us.